The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. In the face of global deception, Russia has accused foreign powers of deliberately sabotaging Africa, while Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso align with Moscow. The king of the world and the savior of the world, Vladimir Putin. This is not business as usual. This is African pushing back after decades of humiliation, exploitation, and all sorts of bad things that we have received from these people in the guise of partnership and aid. The Sahel states have spoken clearly. No more masters, no more stolen future, no more puppets. That they have decided to take control over everything that belongs to them. And that this one is not going down well with the West. So they are still doing everything possible to invade Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso so they can continue to have access to the resources. And for that matter, as long as Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are their allies, they will do everything possible to support them because they know that they are fighting a just cause so that they can be free. And they will do everything possible to protect them because this is Africa's second awakening. And for that matter, they will not fold their arms and watch other people continuing trying to keep the African under slavery. This is very important for us to know as Africans, that these people that always come into the continent in the guise of giving us aid, in the guise of partnership, isn't there for your interests. These people are the reason to which Africa, we are still where we are.
Agreed to focus on strengthening interactions between the constituent entities of the Russian Federation and partners from Africa. This direction is undoubtedly of strategic significance for us. It is one of our key foreign policy priorities, not only because Africa is often referred to as the continent of the future with vast resources, perhaps even comparable to those of Siberia as some would argue, though that is for scientists to determine. In any case, until recently, these resources were not used for the benefit of African peoples, even after gaining political independence during the decolonization process, which was spearheaded by our country. Even after obtaining political independence, economically and financially, the newly independent African states remained, and in many ways still remain, dependent on their former colonial powers. In our contacts with our African friends, we are witnessing what I would call Africa's second awakening. Having gained political independence, they want to move towards using their resources and wealth primarily in their own national interests, while remaining open to international cooperation. This trend confirms that the African continent already is, and its role will continue to grow, one of the pillars of the emerging multipolar world order and will play an increasingly significant role in global politics, economics, and finance. Our country, the Soviet Union, followed by the Russian Federation, has traditionally been an active supporter of strengthening the sovereignty of African countries since the decolonization era. Our country, as known, led the decolonization process. Decolonization, as I mentioned, involved not only the political sphere but also the strengthening of sovereignty in the economy, energy, military technical, food, technological fields, any area on which the sovereignty of each state depends. Moreover, Africans are ready to pursue these goals relying on their own resources and national interests. To help them rely more effectively on their resources, we talk about the contribution of regions to working with the African continent. This contribution is already significant. Notably among the subjects of the Federation are Moscow, St. Petersburg, Krasnodar, Krasnoyarsk, Stavropol regions, Tatarstan, Yakutia, and the Rostov and Kemerovo regions. For many years, the regions of southern Russia have supplied large volumes of agricultural products to Africa. Our goal, as requested by our African colleagues, is to transition from or supplement food supply with establishing food production and especially fertilizers directly on the African continent, for which all opportunities exist. We understand there are challenges, including logistic and financial constraints, but I am convinced these are all surmountable. We will actively encourage the interest of our regions, including all present here, but not limited to them, in establishing and developing mutually beneficial contacts with African countries. We will involve our embassies in promoting regional interests and advancing projects that have potential as mutually beneficial investment opportunities. Today, we'll look at what additional steps can be taken in this direction. In Africa, we are undoubtedly awaited, as our friends from the continent regularly tell us. We must meet these expectations.
It's because of them that we are seeing that the alliance of the Sahel state is still ongoing. If not, it would have been history, because the rest of the other African countries practicing democracy are still worshipping the oppressor. They still do their bid, and that is the reason to which these countries are never targeted by these people. Any country that you see these people tagging and targeting, that should tell you that they have lost control in their country, and they are doing everything possible to come back into that country to continue to have access to whatever. Like Moscow said, the African has risen. The African has risen to fight so that we can reclaim our land, reclaim our resources, and reclaim everything that belongs to the African. The resources in our continent must be used to benefit us, must be used to benefit the African. We are having all these resources, yet we are in poverty. But when they finish, these people always try to change the narrative to make it look as if Russia is rather in the continent trying to also take our resources. Like we still have Africans who also believe that we are running away from the West and still choosing a new slave master. With the history that we have learned so far, Russia hasn't colonized us. So even if we are moving from one master to the other, it is better than living with the same master who has always tried to make sure that they claim everything that we have. Maybe with Russia, we will have a say, but Russia's motive is not to control the African or to take our resources. If that is the case, they wouldn't also be protecting Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso leaders and making sure that they train us for us to have the requisite skills so we can use our resources to benefit ourselves. So there is a clear difference between Russia and the West, because with the West, even the kind of educational system we have is determined by them. And that is why when we went to school, all that we can do is to memorize. We can never be critical thinkers, because these people do not want us to be like that. All they are telling the African is, you sit down, don't bother yourself to use your brains. We will do everything possible to do all the things. Yours is to be at the consumption side. So when we finish producing, we'll come and give it to you, which is not helping the African, and that is the reason to which we are backwards. And these people are making sure that we do not industrialize, because they know very well that when we do, they wouldn't have ready markets. These are the same people that are making sure that the African do not refund the resources that we have. We don't add value. What we need to be doing is to continue to export the resources in their raw form. And Africa will never grow when we continue to be doing this. But Russia has come in and they have promised to protect us, to give us the skills that we need in order for us to move from the current situation that we are to a better position. The West has exploited Africa for a very long time without giving us something significant. Always they tell us that they are this, that here, and for that matter, we are coming to help you. But Russia don't create these situations. These people always do. Even if we don't know anything, the US congressmen openly told the world that they are the reason to which we are having insecurity everywhere. But Moscow has promised to help Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso fight all these insurgencies and to empower us so we can fight for our total liberation, because the African deserves to be free. We cannot continue to be slaves to other people, and if we don't fight, we will never get anywhere. Like those in the democratic elected who are bent on making sure they please these people. Some people don't understand the reason to which some of us do not like these are democratic elected, because they are not doing anything in their power to get the African to freedom. Democracy is a system these people are using, and as long as you continue to practice it in your country, they will always have upper hand on you, and there is nothing you can ever do to liberate yourself. And if truly Africans we are looking for that liberation, we need to move out. And that is why some time back, all in all, Captain Ibrahim Traore said, we need to move away from this system of governance from our oppressors and create the African own model, because we cannot be looking for freedom while we continue to hold on to the system that the oppressor has given to us. This thing belongs to them, and they know how best to regulate it. And we as Africans, we need to have our own model, our own system of governance. There are other countries like China, like Russia, that aren't practicing democracy. Yet we are seeing development in these respective countries. The solution to the African problem isn't democracy, because we have practiced democracy for all these years and Africa is moving backwards. We are rather policing other people instead of policing ourselves. And with this same system of governance, we have lost control over everything that is for us. And people are controlling the African. And they are doing everything possible to keep us under slavery so they can continue to have their way. It is time for you and I to also fight for the African owned model, to fight for our freedom, so together we can get to our destination. And with the help of Russia, we know that our revolution will not be in vain. We'll continue to fight until we are totally free. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world and in Russia.